Hello and happy Monday to you. It's another video of how to write and publish your own books. Today we're going to be talking about curing writer's block. Now 2 weeks ago we talked about prioritizing your time so that you can find time to write, and last week we talked about how to start writing. Basically, the first thing you want to do, because this is also going to, in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, this is going to actually prevent writer's block, is before you actually start typing out your paper, your book, you're going to want to get some paper, pen, pencil, whatever, and you're going to want to write everything down. You're going to want to write down the plot, the summary, all the characters' names, their relationship with each other, everything you want to happen in the story. And of course things change as you're writing, but every idea that you have, write it down. Even if it's something small, write it down. Write everything down and keep writing down until you have nothing else to write. And that very well can prevent you from getting writer's block. However, if you're someone who said, well, I have the beginning and the middle but not the end, I have the end but not the middle, and the beginning, whatever parts you don't have, start writing from that moment. Even if it's the end, you don't have to actually write in chronological order. The book just needs to be that way, but it doesn't have to start out that way, because you can change it as you go. You can edit it, you can fix it. So whatever you do know, start writing that down. And in some cases, whatever you don't have will come as you're writing, because ideas will come as you're writing. Some ways to cure writer's block. The first way, and it's 3 different ways, but it's one way that stem out to 3 different ways, and that is taking a writer's block break, because that's what I call it. What that means is, the first thing you want to do is you want to save it. What I do is I email it to myself. I have more than one email address, so I email it to myself to more than one different email address. You can save it on CD if you have an old computer, floppy disk, or a USB file, but you want to save your work just in case something should happen. After you save it, you walk away. The first thing you can do is, depending on the time and the weather, you go outside, take a walk, go to the park, go to the beach, do something that is calm, peaceful, and takes your mind off of the book. In some cases, I got ideas for my books by watching other people, and it wasn't a purposeful thing. It just, I saw something and it sparked an idea to give me an idea to write or to write something. So in the park, watching people, overhearing conversations. I know that sounds wrong, but overhearing conversations and using those, don't use word for word, name for name, but using those conversations to spark an idea, to add an idea to your book. So that's the first way. In the one way, 3 ways, as I said. The first way is to take a break outside, go outside, do something outside. Even if you're sitting on your porch watching the neighbors or people in your neighborhood, can spark ideas. The next way is, of course, again, depending on the time and the weather. If you don't feel like going outside, if it's raining, if it's snowing, it's freezing cold outside, or if it's 8, 9 o'clock at night, then the next break is to break outside, inside a place of business, restaurant, mall, store, anywhere where you can sit, stand, walk, somewhere. Again, watch the people. Watch the person at work stocking the boxes. Again, an idea can pop up simply by watching someone stock a box, And so, again, like I said, overhearing conversations, watching people, not staring, but observing is the word, observing. That's your other step, is going somewhere. And like I said, watching people do regular things. Believe it or not, ideas can show up, pop up. And make sure you have a paper and pen with you, because you may think you're going to remember, but you can go home, especially if you drove, you're listening to the radio, that idea can instantly leave your mind. So make sure you have your original notepad that you use to write down all your ideas with you, so you can write down whatever ideas pop up into your mind. The third way is to stay home, take a break at home, television, movies, videos, reading books, magazines, newspapers, All those things can spark ideas. Now, the thing with the third idea is make sure you're not plagiarizing. That's very important. Whether you're watching something or reading something, make sure you're not plagiarizing. There's a difference between inspiration and stealing. Something can inspire you to write something, but there is a difference between something inspiring you to write something and you completely stealing. So make sure there's a thin line between the two. Make sure you know the difference and you do not plagiarize. But like I said, taking a break to read books, magazines, newspapers, even children's books, watching television, watching a documentary, watching a video, a movie, a DVD, something. That taking that break can spark an idea. So that's the first way you can cure your writer's block, is just taking a break. The second way is, well, the first way is taking a break from writing, taking a break to do something. The second way is to take a break completely, just a mental break, resting, eyes closed, meditating. I caution on meditating because there's a lot of different meditations out there that are not really, there's some story behind it. You should always do your research before you do a certain kind of meditation. I don't agree with all of them, but meditating, just taking a break, sometimes can new ideas can come to you. Another way is to read what you've already written. It may not sound right, but when you're typing what you're thinking, it's different than actually reading what you wrote. And even though you may say, but I just got finished writing, I know what I wrote, it's different. Not only will you find a lot of mistakes you can fix on the way, as you're reading, ideas can come as you're reading it for your first time. Because typing it, like I said, typing what you have in your head is different from what you're reading what you wrote. And so if you don't think meditation works, you don't think you're going out taking a break takes work, then save everything you've done, go back and read everything. And like I said, as you're reading, ideas can come to mind. Your next step, I would say take like a week break. I mean, put it away, save it, put it completely away, don't look at it, don't think about it, and take a week where you're not writing. And in that week of you doing normal things, going to work, going to church, going out with your friends, going to eat, going shopping, grocery shopping, doing your laundry, doing regular things, in that process, ideas can spark that you didn't think of, because now you're not thinking about it, you're just living life. And as you're living life, ideas can come. And so taking a week break from writing, period, and just living your life as normal can come up. Like I said, people will say things that you'll overhear. Oh my gosh, that's a good idea. People will do things, you'll see things. Like I said in my video prior to this, I was on break, and I was sitting, because I used to work at a fast food restaurant, I was sitting on my break, and two guys came in. They were both speaking Spanish. One of them looked Asian, and I know there are some Hispanic people who look Asian, but automatically I thought to myself, a book idea where an Asian boy is kidnapped and he's raised and he doesn't realize that he is Asian. He thinks he's Spanish, he's Mexican, whatever. And even though that's a complete false story, probably a dumb story, and that's not true, just looking at that situation, an idea came to mind. And so wherever you are, I mean, sometimes don't overdo it by staring and trying to come up with ideas, just living your life. You can see things, you can see people, you can overhear conversations that can spark an idea that you can use for your book, your storyline. And so those are most of the best ways to cure your writer's block. I'm sure there's many more. If you're a writer and I didn't mention something that you do, then comment it. There's a lot of you can do research. I'm sure there's many books on it. But for the most part, you want to take a break from it. You want to step back and you want to live life and let life itself give you ideas. Most writers, if they're not writing from their own life, they're writing from experience, and not necessarily experiences they've gone through, but experiences they've seen other people go through. Don't be afraid to, something you've seen someone experience, put it in a book. Obviously exaggerate it so your family and friends don't realize you're writing about them, and change names and even genders if you have to. But use your experience, use other people's experience. One of my books I wrote, I used different experiences in my life from the time I was in third grade to the time I was an adult. And even though none of the experience had anything to do with each other, I put them in the book and caused this one individual to experience over time. And so it doesn't have to be, well, this doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Your experience, people experience around you. And even if you see someone experiencing, you're driving and you see, lots of times I'm on the Garden State Parkway and you see someone on the side of the road trying to fix their car. Use that experience in your book, your character. Use that as a experience where your character gets, for whatever reason, add that. And someone comes along and helps them. And then that person is a new character that can spark a whole new plot and a whole new idea to write your book. And so think of everything you've experienced. Think of everything you've seen that you thought was odd. I mean, when I'm driving the parkway or the street and I see socks and shoes and things on the road, I'm like, how the heck did that get on the road? That alone is an idea you can use of what happened as a driver was driving, that their shoe ended up on the side of the street or their sock ended up on the side of the street. I remember my mom and I were driving and we saw a couch on the road. Obviously, someone was trying to transfer a couch and it fell and they didn't notice, or they realized they couldn't get back to it. I don't know. But that in itself is a story. That in itself is an experience that you can over-exaggerate to use for your plot, to use for a storyline, an additional storyline. And even in writing that experience, more ideas can come that'll fit into your story. And so you just got to start, and then when you get stuck, just take a break. Like I said, read what you've already written. Take a break. Just take a life break. Do some laundry. Go shopping for some groceries. Watch television. Read a book. Read an article. Read a newspaper, magazine. Sit outside and watch the neighbors. Go to the mall, and I mean, there's, especially on a Saturday afternoon where that's where the most people are. Sit in the parking lot of the mall and watch people. Watch that. There's always something you can look at, you can observe, you can watch to come up with more ideas for your book should you get writer's block. And like I said, whatever you do have, just write it down. Forget about what you don't have. In life, period, don't focus on what you don't have. Only focus on what you do have. And what you do have can bring you what you don't have. And so if you focus on what you do have, you don't have to worry about what you don't have. And so whatever you do have right now in your head, write that down. Start with that. And I'm telling you, every book, play, and even film that I've written, I've started it with what I did have. And what I didn't have came. It came. I only have one book that I can say was the hardest for me to write, which is my latest book. That took me 12 years to write. But other than that, all my other books, whatever problems I had in writing it, it came as I was writing. The information I knew I wanted in that book, I wrote that down. And whatever I didn't have, it came along with what I did have. And so, and it is, I'm going to be honest, it's difficult to start writing when you don't have everything. Because you have that notion of wanting to have everything right up front. But in most cases, you're not going to have everything. Even when I thought I had everything, more came to me, and I wrote and I added that to it. And so start with what you already have and build from there. And like I said, when you get stuck, stop, take a break, whether it's a nap break, a meditation break, a reading break, a lounging break, whatever break it is, take a break. And ideas will come to you on that break. Sometimes a break may take a day, a week, 12 years, who knows. But don't let it stop you. And like I said, write. When you try to keep something, even if your phone, you don't have anything to write with, type it in your phone and email yourself. I know in my phone I have a notepad where I can type in stuff. Use whatever you have to make sure you put that stuff down, because you don't want to forget anything. So many times I said, oh, I'll remember, and I forgot, and I was angry at myself for not writing it down. So write down every idea and then build from that, okay? Well, that's it for now. Join me next week. We're going to build on how to edit. I believe that's our next topic. If not, you'll see what our next topic is. Actually, I don't have my paper with me. My time is running out. Thank you and goodbye.